Have you ever noticed that something as simple as your morning glass of water could be doing more harm than good if you're not careful about how you drink it? Today we're going to talk in detail about some common mistakes many of us make when we hydrate first thing in the morning. Although it might seem like nothing more than water is water, over the years our bodies and their needs change. What used to work perfectly well in our 30s and 40s might suddenly create problems for us in our 60s, 70s, or even later in life. There is a surprising amount of nuance when it comes to how you start your day with hydration, and understanding these subtle effects can help you truly care for your body each morning. Imagine waking up after a full night's sleep. Your body has been in a slow, restorative mode all night, repairing itself. Your metabolism is still revving up, and your organs, especially your stomach, heart, and kidneys, are gently transitioning from a state of rest into a more active mode. In that very delicate early period of the morning, every action you take is like placing an order for how your day will feel. If you rush in without thinking, you might be inadvertently causing a few unnecessary setbacks that add up over time. Let's start with a frequently encountered scenario. Many of us reach for the water immediately after waking up, and if the water is ice cold straight from the refrigerator, we may feel a sudden shock. Now, I know the immediate refreshing jolt might feel invigorating at first, especially when you are still half asleep. However, that sudden temperature difference is nothing less than a shock to a system that has been in a very gentle, warm state throughout the night. When you consume ice-cold water on an empty stomach, it forces your body to quickly adjust in ways that can stress your digestive system. Your stomach muscles, still waking up from a long, calming sleep, contract rapidly in response to the chill, sometimes causing a cramp-like feeling that can spread to your chest. In some cases, those cold gulps may even lead to slight dizziness or a headache. Imagine trying to start your day with everything feeling as if it's on high alert, because your body was hit with a shock it wasn't quite ready for. For example, I once heard the story of a woman named Eleanor. At the age of 76, she had been enjoying the same routine for years, an immediate gulp of chilled water in the morning, and believed that it was her secret to staying alert. However, Eleanor began noticing that not only did her stomach cramp and her hands feel uncomfortably cold, but she also experienced a kind of sluggishness that lasted well into the day. After some discussion with her doctor, Eleanor tried switching to water that was a bit closer to room temperature. The results were remarkable. Her mornings became calmer, her digestive system felt less agitated, and overall, she began to enjoy a smoother start to the day. This is an important reminder that while our younger selves might have appreciated the shock of cold water, our bodies need a Now, let's talk about another common mistake: the pace at which we consume our water. Many of us feel so parched as soon as we wake up that we rush to chug our entire glass or even bottle of water as quickly as possible. That sense of urgency, however, can be counterproductive. When you drink water too quickly in the morning, your body is suddenly inundated with liquid that it isn't yet prepared to process. Your heart is only gradually ramping up its beat, your blood pressure is finding its rhythm, and your stomach lining is still coming online after a prolonged period of rest. Instead of a smooth transition, you are overwhelming your digestive system with a flood of hydration. This rapid intake can stretch your stomach quickly, sometimes triggering a feeling of bloating or even causing slight nausea. There is also the possibility that it might disturb your electrolyte balance for a brief period, leaving you feeling less settled as your kidneys scramble to process. I want to share a personal anecdote about a friend named Walter, who was in his early 70s. Walter had always prided himself on being disciplined about his morning routine. He would leap out of bed, grab a full bottle of water, and down it in one swift motion. Initially, Walter believed this was his shortcut to a burst of energy. He would exclaim that the cold water woke him up in an instant. However, rather soon, he noticed that some mornings were marred by a mysterious dizziness, a lightheaded sensation that sometimes left him feeling unsteady for the first hour of his day. After a series of conversations with his doctor, Walter learned that his body was simply overwhelmed by the speed of his hydration. By taking just a few sips of water over a span of 15 to 20 minutes, rather than forcing the entire bottle down at once, Walter managed to ease the transition between sleep and wakefulness. His dizziness disappeared, and he found that his morning energy remained more balanced throughout the day. Another issue that many people may not even be aware of involves the medium from which we drink our water. Picture this: you refill your plastic water bottle each night, leaving it on your bedside table for your morning hydration ritual. It might seem like a perfectly harmless convenience. However, there's growing concern among health experts regarding the long-term effects of repeatedly drinking from plastic bottles, especially when these bottles are left out overnight in a warm room. Over time, chemicals in the plastic, such as BPA or other similar endocrine-disrupting substances, can leach into the water. These compounds are not just harmless additives, they can interfere with your body's natural hormone balance. Endocrine disruptors mimic or block hormones, causing subtle yet real changes to your metabolism and overall health. In older adults whose systems are already more delicate and sensitive due to years of accumulated stress on the organs, this added chemical load can have more pronounced effects. Let me explain this with the story of a gentleman named Stanley, who had been diligent about his morning water routine all his life. Stanley always filled his water bottle at home, kept it on his nightstand, and sipped from it slowly upon waking. Over the course of several months, however, Stanley began experiencing unexplained headaches, slight digestive issues, and an overall feeling of fatigue that would settle in soon after he started his day. After a thorough checkup and some investigation into his daily habits, the source of the problem eventually came down to his trusty plastic bottle. Although it had served him well for years, the constant reuse, combined with exposure to heat overnight, was allowing chemicals to leach into his water. Once he switched to a glass or stainless steel bottle and refilled it freshly each morning, Stanley's symptoms gradually disappeared. His improved mornings underscored one simple idea: sometimes the medium is just as important as the message, and in this case, the water itself was being tainted by the container in which. There is yet another nuance to consider about your morning hydration routine: how water interacts with any medications you might be taking. Many people follow the advice to take their prescribed medications with a full glass of water, which is undoubtedly important for ensuring the pills go down smoothly. However, timing and the condition of your stomach at that particular moment can make a significant difference. For instance, taking medication on a completely empty stomach and then immediately flooding your system with water can upset your stomach lining. Alternatively, if you have just eaten a very large meal and then take a large quantity of water with your medication, this can interfere with the absorption of the medication. The digestive system in the early morning is a finely tuned instrument. Its activity is gradually ramping up as your body prepares for the day ahead. When you introduce either too much water too quickly or pair it with food that is overly heavy, you risk upsetting the natural balance. I recall the case of Margaret, a longtime thyroid medication user in her 80s. For years, Margaret had been following her routine. She would take her pill with a generous glass of water and then sit down for breakfast. Without changing anything apparent in her medications or lifestyle, she began to suffer from bouts of nausea and a persistent, uneasy feeling that lasted well into the morning. Finally, after detailed conversations with her healthcare provider, Margaret discovered that it wasn't her medication that was the problem. It was the timing and the amount of water she was taking with it. By modifying her approach, taking just enough water to swallow her pill, then waiting a more reasonable time before consuming a full meal, Margaret found that the nausea subsided and her overall sense of well-being improved noticeably. Her story is a testament to the importance of syncing your hydration habits with the natural pace of your body and its digestive processes. Yet another common issue relates to the decision some people make to skip breakfast altogether, relying solely on water for sustenance until later in the day. We have all come across advice that touts intermittent fasting or even suggests that starting the day with just water is a powerful cleansing practice. While certain lifestyles and bodies might indeed thrive on such regimens, many older adults might not experience the same benefits. Your body, after a long night without food, is running low on essential nutrients. Drinking water is certainly beneficial in helping rehydrate and revive your cells after hours of rest, but it cannot provide the energy, protein, and other nutrients required to kickstart your morning metabolism. I once met a woman named Alice, a lively 69-year-old, who decided to try a water-only morning after reading about the benefits of intermittent fasting. At first, she admired the simplicity of the routine and was even pleased to notice some weight loss. However, as the days went by, Alice began experiencing mood swings, noticeable brain fog, and episodes of shakiness that she couldn't quite attribute to any single cause. It wasn't until her daughter, who was always observant of such changes, asked her about her new morning routine that Alice was prompted to reconsider what her body really needed. Upon reintroducing even a modest breakfast, a small serving of oatmeal paired with a boiled egg and a piece of fruit, Alice found that her energy levels stabilized, her mind cleared, and her overall sense of wellness improved dramatically. Her experience is an important reminder that while water is an essential part of our hydration routine, it is not a substitute for nourishment. A balanced approach that respects both hydration and sustenance is key to maintaining a steady, healthy rhythm. Now, in this discussion, I'm not trying to discourage you from drinking water first thing in the morning. On the contrary, hydration is one of the simplest ways to support your health. The message is to be mindful about how you are approaching your water drinking habits. As we age, our bodies demand a little more care. Our internal systems, whether it's the digestive system, the circulatory network, or even the nervous system, respond more slowly and sometimes more sensitively than they did in our youth. Each action, each sip, can set the tone for the day ahead. Let's revisit the idea of water temperature. There's a common notion that ice-cold water is always refreshing, and while it might certainly wake you up with a jolt, our bodies, especially when they are waking from a deep sleep, are not ideally suited to process that extreme temperature right away. Instead of a cold shock, try leaving your water out for a short while, or mixing in a bit of room temperature water if you're used to something colder. This small adjustment can help ease your system into wakefulness without provoking the uncomfortable reactions, like stomach cramps, a surge of alertness that feels more like nervousness, or even a headache that sometimes arise from an abrupt thermal difference. Equally significant is the pace at which you consume your water. In the hustle of our modern lives, we are often conditioned to believe that faster is better. But the truth is, your body may benefit from a slower, more deliberate pattern of hydration. Rather than gulping down your drink in one continuous motion, consider setting aside a few moments after you wake up to just breathe, to let your senses come alive with the gentle act of sipping. Over a period of 15 to 20 minutes, allowing the water to gradually coat and hydrate your internal system can help mitigate issues like bloating or even the disorientation that sometimes accompanies rapid consumption. This mindful approach not only enhances hydration, but also serves as a gentle daily practice of self-care, a moment of calm before the demands of the day take over. There is also a less commonly discussed habit that can adversely affect the benefits of your morning hydration. Many people keep their water in plastic bottles that sit by the bed, blissfully unaware of the potential risks associated with them. Even if a bottle is labeled BPA-free, studies suggest that repetitive reuse and exposure to temperature fluctuations can still result in a slow, steady leaching of chemicals into your water. Over time, these chemicals, many of which are known endocrine disruptors, can subtly interfere with your hormonal balance. For older adults who may already be managing conditions related to hormonal fluctuations, this added chemical stressor can complicate matters. The solution here might seem straightforward. Switch to using glass or stainless steel bottles instead of plastic. If convenience has always dictated your habit, know that even a small change in the type of container can yield significant long-term benefits. Consider the case of Stanley, a gentleman well into his 70s who had always been very routine-oriented. His water bottle, a plastic container he had used for many years, sat on his bedside table night after night. Although he never experienced any overt or immediate problems, gradual changes in his health, persistent headaches, an unusual feeling of sluggishness and mild digestive discomfort began to emerge. After discussions with his doctor and a bit of detective work, it turned out that his beloved plastic bottle was likely the culprit. Replacing it with a glass bottle and refilling it with fresh water each morning eventually led to a clear improvement in his overall health. Stanley's story underlines the point that details matter, especially when it comes to habits we adopt every day without a second thought. Another fine point we must explore is the relationship between hydration and the medications many of us depend on, particularly as we get older. It's common practice to take one's daily pills with a full glass of water, a habit that certainly aids in swallowing and helps the medications travel through the digestive system. However, if your stomach is either completely empty or overly full, at the time you take your medication, the effect can be suboptimal. When you drink a large amount of water on an empty stomach immediately after taking medication, you might create a situation where your stomach lining is irritated, potentially contributing to feelings of nausea or even slight bloating. Conversely, if you have just had a large meal and then attempt to take a concentrated dose of water with your pills, the absorption of your medication might be compromised. This balance is particularly crucial for medications that require a more precise internal environment to work effectively. The story of Margaret, who adjusted her approach by taking a smaller amount of water to swallow her pill and waiting before eating, illustrates how such small modifications can have measurable improvements on overall wellness and medication effectiveness. Beyond the direct physiological impacts, there is a broader lesson here. Our bodies, over time, send us subtle signals about how our routines might need to change. As the years go by, what once may have been a beneficial habit can transform into a source of discomfort if it is not adjusted to meet our evolving needs. In a way, each morning offers us a chance to tune in to our physical well-being. Rather than treating your daily hydration as an automatic chore, give yourself permission to be attentive. Listen for the small clues. Does your stomach feel crampy after a cold gulp? Is your head slightly dizzy after chugging water too quickly? Have you recently changed the container you use? And do you notice any difference in how your body responds? These are not mere coincidences, but signals that your internal system is asking for a bit more care and consider for a moment the idea of combining hydration with nourishment. Water does wonders for your cells, rehydrating your body after hours of rest. But it cannot replace the need for food, which provides the energy and building blocks necessary for your body's functions. When you skip a proper breakfast in favor of just water, even if you follow it with something like coffee alone, the net effect might be a day that starts off on a less balanced footing. I remember Alice's story, where she experimented with drinking only water until noon, inspired by trends she had read about. Although she initially felt a burst of clarity from her weight loss and the simplicity of the routine, she eventually found that her mood dropped, her memory faltered, and she began to experience feelings of weakness and disorientation later in the day. When she reintroduced even a small but balanced breakfast, such as a slice of whole grain toast with a bit of protein and some fruit, her energy levels and mental clarity improved significantly. It turns out that the combination of water and a light, nutritious breakfast is what helps set the stage for a stable, energetic day. I want you to think about all these elements as parts of a coherent whole. The way you start your day is not just about one single drink or one isolated action. It's about crafting a routine that respects the natural rhythms of your body. As you become more aware of the subtle interplay between hydration, temperature, pace, container quality, and nutritional intake, you begin to see that each component has an important role to play. This is a holistic approach to health, one that acknowledges that the small moments of our morning routine ripple outward to affect our entire day. There is no one-size-fits-all solution here. Rather, there are small, mindful adjustments you can experiment with until you find the routine that best suits your unique needs. It could be that you switch from ice-cold water to water that has been allowed to reach room temperature, or perhaps you decide to sip slowly over the course of 15 minutes instead of gulping it all down in one go. Maybe you'll invest in a glass water bottle to eliminate potential contaminants from reused plastic, or perhaps you'll adjust the timing of your medications and breakfast to allow your stomach a few moments to settle before introducing a flood of water. In every case, the key is to observe how your body responds and to be open to making incremental changes that might greatly enhance your overall well-being. There is a beauty in simplicity, the act of waking up and offering your body gentle care through mindful hydration. When you take the time to honor your body's signals, you not only improve your physical state, but also cultivate a sense of balance and awareness that can carry through the rest of your day. The next time you reach for that morning glass of water, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this water at the right temperature? Am I drinking it too quickly? Is my body ready for this sudden intake? Should I perhaps modify my container or adjust the timing of my medications and breakfast? These little reflective questions are not just about water. They're about learning to listen to yourself, to trust the wisdom of your own body. If you're someone who has always followed the same routine out of habit without questioning its effects, now might be the perfect time to try something new. Begin with small experiments. Try warming your water slightly or sipping it slowly, and note the difference. Some days you might even choose to combine your hydration routine with a few deep breaths or a brief moment of meditation. There is something profoundly grounding about starting your day with both physical and mental care. A gentle reminder that you deserve to be kind to you. In the end, the goal isn't to complicate your life with elaborate rituals or to create a sense of anxiety around something as straightforward as drinking water. Rather, it's about recognizing that as we age, our bodies require thoughtful adjustments. A change of just a few degrees in water temperature, a slightly slower pace of drinking, or a modest shift in the timing of our morning activities can make all the difference in how we feel throughout the day. This is not about instilling fear or about enforcing strict rules. It's about mindfulness and self-care. Your body has carried you through countless days and years. Shouldn't you give it the respect and care that it deserves right from the moment you wake up? I invite you to test these adjustments in your own life. Tune into your body and let it be your guide. Experiment with the temperature of your water, the speed at which you drink it, and the sequence of your morning actions. Perhaps you'll find that something as small as leaving your water bottle on the table for a few minutes before drinking it makes you feel more comfortable. Or maybe you'll realize that pairing your hydration with a light snack or a few moments of relaxation sets the stage for an extraordinarily balanced day. As you work to fine-tune your routine, remember that there is no perfect method, only the one that best suits you. Whether you are in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, your body's ability to adapt and thrive is directly influenced by the choices you make in those quiet moments just after dawn. Your hydration routine can serve as a ritual that not only quenches your thirst, but also symbolizes your commitment to your own well-being. So, the next time you find yourself reaching for that glass of water, think about the full context of your morning. Consider the temperature, the speed, the container, and even what might be coming next on your plate. Allow yourself to savor that moment of care, making sure that every sip aligns with the natural rhythm of your body. Because when your mornings start with mindfulness and gentle care, the effects can ripple outwards, setting a tone of comfort, clarity, and overall wellness for the entire day. Take a moment to let these ideas sink in, and then, starting tomorrow, try one or two of these small changes. Notice how your body responds, and be open to adjusting further until you find the routine that feels just right. In a world that often seems to celebrate speed and efficiency above all, there is quiet power in slowing down, listening to your body, and nurturing it with respect. Every morning is a new opportunity to build a healthier, more balanced life. Thank you for joining me in this discussion on how simple changes in your morning hydration routine can have a profound impact on your overall health. I truly hope that by considering these insights, you'll be inspired to tweak your own routine and experience the gentle differences for yourself. Remember, it's not just about water, it's about creating a habit of self-care that respects your body's natural needs and rhythms. As you continue to explore ways to enhance your well-being, always trust in the signals your body gives you. It has been with you through every phase of life, adapting and evolving. Now, it's time to return that care, starting with the very first moments of each morning. Let the simple act of mindful hydration serve as a reminder that every day is a gift and that your health is your most valuable asset. Enjoy your mornings and take care. Your body will thank you for every thoughtful choice you make along